Completing the SEN 35 appeal form. This video will cover the appeal criteria, completing the SEN 35 appeal form, evidence, submitting the form and next steps. Appeal form. To register your appeal, you'll need to complete the SEN 35 form. We'll go through the form within this video, and we also have a more in-depth guide to completing the form that we can send to you. The Tribunal have also produced a guide called How to Appeal. You can complete the SEN 35 form online or by downloading a copy of the form and emailing it to the Tribunal service. Appeal criteria. You can lodge an appeal if you've received a final plan from the local authority, the young person is aged 0 to 24, you are the parent or have care of the young person, or if you've been asked to act on behalf of someone who has parental responsibility for the young person aged 0 to 15, or by the young person themselves aged 16 to 24. If it is less than 2 months from the date on your decision letter. If you plan to appeal against the contents of the plan, you'll also need a copy of the mediation certificate. You will see that the SEN 35 form has notes explaining what is needed in each section. We include in this video some additional comments which may be useful to be aware of when completing the form. Section 1, page 3, Child or Young Person's Information. In this section of the form, you need to give information about who the appeal is about. You need to confirm the young person's name, gender and date of birth. Section 2, page 4, asks you to tell the Tribunal who is making the appeal. Tick the box to say whether you are the young person or somebody appealing on behalf of the young person, including a parent, or appealing on behalf of a child. Give the details of the person who is appealing. Section 3, page 5, details of another parent or carer. Include details of another parent or carer here if you want to. The Tribunal will only provide information during the appeal process to one person, and this would usually be the parent named first in the form. Section 4, page 6, Representative's Information. This asks for information about a representative. A representative is someone who provides you with advice and represents you making the appeal. You do not have to have a representative. If you name a representative, the Tribunal will only communicate with them. Section 5, page 7, Advocate Information. This asks for information about an advocate. An advocate can be anyone who can support you. They can support you by communicating with the Tribunal on your behalf, but they cannot represent you at the hearing. You do not have to have an advocate. Section 8, Type of Appeal. Section 8 of the form asks you to tell the Tribunal what you are appealing about. This may be the local authority has refused to issue an EHC plan, the local authority has refused a reassessment of need, you disagree with the contents of Section B, F, and/or I, or the local authority has decided an EHC plan is no longer needed. Section 9, School, college, or education provider. If you're unhappy with the setting named in Section I of the EHCP, and you know the type or name of the setting you want to be named, include this information here. Say clearly what type of school you want to ask for, which school you wanted, and what their response to the consultation was. Section 9, School, college, or education provider continued. Say what type of support the setting can offer your child, the size of the classes, and the facilities it offers which meet your child's individual needs. Section 10, Reasons for the appeal. Tell the Tribunal what the issues are and what you're unhappy with, why you disagree with the local authority decision, your evidence to support what you are saying, and what you want the Tribunal to do. Section 10, Reasons for the appeal, Contents. If you're unhappy with the wording in Section B and F of the EHCP, think about, do you feel it gives a clear description of what needs your young person has and the support they need? Is there anything missing? Does anything need rewording? And say what you think it should say instead. Section 10, Reason for the appeal, Contents. Use Section 10 to tell the Tribunal about anything that you feel the local authority may not have considered when they made their decision about the contents of Section B and F covering your child's needs and support. Section 10. Reasons for the appeal, contents continued. Has your parental preference been recorded and considered? Have your young person's views been recorded and considered? And has there been any new or updated information since the original paperwork went in? For example, are there any new reports, assessments, or has there been a diagnosis? Section 10. Reasons for the appeal, contents continued. You could refer back to any information that you gave when requesting the EHC needs assessment or when contributing to the review process. It may also be helpful to think back to the broad areas of need. You can see further information about this in our Send Support Broad Areas of Need video. Section 10. Reasons for the appeal, refusal to issue EHCP. If you're unhappy with the decision not to issue an EHC plan, state why the evidence gathered during the EHC needs assessment shows that it is necessary for your child or young person to have an EHC plan, and why an EHC plan is needed in order for your child or young person to get the special education provision they need. Section 10. Reason for the appeal, refusal to reassess. If you're unhappy with the decision not to carry out a reassessment of need, state why, referring to any evidence you may have. Section 11. If you also want the Tribunal to look at any health or social care needs, including respite needs and medical conditions, they must still link to your young person's learning and education. The Tribunal can make non-binding recommendations about these sections to the local authority. Evidence. On page 23, you are asked to list your evidence. You should only send copies of any documents or reports, not the originals. Make sure that any evidence you have is not out of date and that it's relevant to your appeal. Page limits. A bundle of information will be produced before the Tribunal hearing. There are page limits for these bundles. 75 pages for each party, parent and local authority, for refusal to assess, Section I, placement appeal, cease to maintain an EHCP. 100 pages for each party for refusal to issue an EHCP and contents sections B and F appeal. Evidence. On this page, you'll be asked to list each document, say where it is from, say who it's from, and the number of pages it has. Evidence. Your evidence could include documents that help to understand your child's SEND, such as medical reports, health plans, or assessments. Show any support that your child needs or gets, such as support plans, behaviour plans, or notes from meetings with the school or other professionals. Show that there have been discussions with school about such issues, e.g. reduced attendance, exclusion, or behaviour. Show what level your child is working at, or the rate of progress that they are making, such as school reports and support plans that show your young person's needs. Evidence about the school or other institution. Evidence, your preferred setting. You should include relevant information in 9.3 of the form about the school setting you want, such as its most recent Ofsted report, its prospectus, detail of the costs of the placement if necessary, and any reports or assessment about the child or young person which the school or other institution has produced. Evidence, your preferred setting continued. You can refer to this evidence to support your argument that the setting can support the child or young person's needs. In the case of a school which is wholly independent, you will need to include the consent of the school in order to ask the Tribunal to name it in the EHCP. This should be a letter from the school confirming that they've offered the child or young person a place. Submitting your appeal. Once you've completed the SEND 35 form, you'll need to send it to the SEND Tribunal. You will also need to include your decision letter from the local authority, the mediation certificate if this is also a contents appeal, a copy of the final EHCP, your evidence that supports the appeal. Submitting your appeal. Remember, you must submit appeal paperwork within 2 months from the date of the decision letter or 1 month from the date of the mediation certificate, whichever is later. Appeal timeline. SEND appeals usually take up to 12 weeks to get to a decision, but this is extended at the moment due to a high volume of appeals being received. Appeal received and registered within 20 working days. Acknowledgement letter and case directions sent out. Copy sent to the local authority, who have 30 working days to respond or settle. Hearing held and a decision sent within 10 working days. Further send information and advice on a whole range of topics is available on our website. Visit www.leadsendias.co.uk. On social media, search Lead Sendias. Other sources of information, advice and support about mediation and SEND tribunals include Contact for families and disabled children. Visit www.contact.org.uk. EHCP, independent provider of special educational advice. www.ehcp.org.uk. SOS SEN, www.sossen.org.uk. Gov.uk, Government Information and Service website, www.gov.uk. Collis Mediation, www.collismediationlimited.com. Thank you for watching this video. We hope it was helpful. Other videos in this series include mediation before appeals or completing the SEN 35A form.